Welcome back. This is SSD Mythbusters, where every episode we tackle a common myth in Social Security disability and either prove it true or prove it busted. And so my name is Jeremy Worley, and I am here with our Social Security disability attorney and in-house expert, Josh Worley.
Yes, glad to be back.
Josh, today, this one is near and dear to our hearts. The myth is, it doesn't matter if I hire an attorney. What do you think, Social Security disability attorney?
We are super important. So,
all right, this one is addressed quickly now. What do you think? I mean, because there are a lot of people out there that are going, why do I need an attorney? What difference does it make? In the first episode, we touched a little bit on it, why it's a big deal. So tell us, why does it matter if you have an attorney?
Well, what I'll say is that the Social Security disability process is complex. You're dealing with a government agency, and you're filling out forms and paperwork that's confusing. That a lot of times you get asked questions that you don't really know why you're being asked those questions. All of which are really important to your case, and it is really important that you have somebody that knows this process, knows why are they asking those questions to you? How does that impact your case? And if you have an attorney that knows what they're doing, then obviously they're right there with you the entire time. In our office, we represent people at our claimants at all different levels of the process. So starting at an initial application and all of the appeals afterwards. And so it's just incredibly important to have someone holding your hand through all of that complex stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, that makes sense because in the episode we were talking about is, does anyone ever get approved for disability? You were giving us some stats of 30% that get denied at the application level. And what we learned from you was with time, those numbers go up at each stage of the process. But it does seem like at each stage of the process, there's also information that the client has to be providing or the applicant has to be providing to Social Security. And if at any point it breaks down, their chances either plummet or completely are eliminated.
Exactly right. I mean, you will learn as you go through this process. It's not like you just file some form and you send it off to Social Security and then, you got it all done and then it's like, approval in the mail. It's not generally as simple as that. It is very common for you to file a claim or file an application or an appeal, and then Social Security sends you another form in the mail. And you think that you've already provided that information, and they're asking it in another way. And so there's constantly things happening through the process that can be confusing. And when you've got an attorney representing you, the attorney in their office, for instance, our office, we can answer those questions for you. We can say, like with our clients, when they get that form in the mail, they call us and they say, "Hey, what is this? What do we do with it?" And we generally will say, "Don't worry, we got it taken care of. If we need information from you, then we can get that from our client, and then we fill out the form and we submit it. We take care of all of that." The other thing that happens with an attorney is that the attorney is making sure that you're keeping an eye on all the deadlines and all the different things that have to be submitted. Typically, it's pretty common for there to be deadlines to get forms submitted, get appeals submitted. And like we talked about in the first episode, and you mentioned already, keeping the process going and remembering deadlines and appeals is really important. So those are just some of the reasons why it's important to have an attorney.
And I mean, I would be thinking, okay, great. I want an attorney. Of course, that would help me. But there's a cost factor. Right. What does it cost? Why is it still accounting for the cost? Is it still worth it for someone to go out and get an attorney?
Certainly. Good question. And it is something that commonly comes up, especially someone that's going through disability. They generally do not have a lot of extra money sitting around. They're not able to work because of their health. So they're worried about finances. As far as the way that we represent our clients, we represent them on a contingent fee, 25% of their back pay that they recover. So that just means that if they want to hire us, they don't pay anything up front. They don't pay anything along the way. We represent them because we think we can get them approved. And once they are approved, then they are entitled to a lump sum of benefits for all of their back months that they had to wait to get on these benefits or to get on this disability. And so at the end, they get this lump sum, and our fee is 25% of that. If they're not approved and they don't get this lump sum of money, then they don't owe us anything. So we are entirely our fee is entirely contingent on being successful and getting them approved for this back pay.
Okay, because a lot of people hear the contingency fee and don't really know, but it's really this. It's almost risk free.
It is,
because if you don't succeed in getting them approved, they don't
owe us one penny. Okay. Not one penny in the end.
And in the first episode, you did mention there was a stat about what a difference it does make. So,
yes.
Can you tell us that again?
Sure. There was a study done a few years ago by an agency that looked into approval rates of people with attorneys versus approval rates with clients that are not or don't have an attorney. And the study found that claimants with an attorney were 3 times more likely to get approved for benefits. That's a huge number. That's a huge difference in approval rates. And so, yeah, I mean, those numbers speak for themselves. It is really important to get an attorney.
Okay. Well, I think once again, we can agree on this one. The myth, it doesn't matter if I hire an attorney. What do you say?
It is busted.
It is busted.
It is busted. You absolutely have to have one or need to have one.
And I think that's the takeaway. It makes a big difference. And it's not just a difference in the success of your claim. I think that Josh has obviously showed that makes a big difference. But it's also the peace of mind, I think, as he's demonstrated at each step of the process. There's information you have to provide as an applicant. And so it's peace of mind, but it's also 3 times more likely to get approved and risk-free, because you're never at risk of having to pay an attorney fee if you ultimately aren't approved, and it's paid out of the back pay. So clearly that's important to know. Hopefully you found this information helpful. If so, give us a follow. We're going to continue to tackle important episodes like this, so we'll see you next time.